Caster Semenya has won a case against Switzerland in the European Court of Human Rights. The France-based court has ruled that Semenya was a victim of discrimination. The Olympic champion and other female athletes who are classed as having differences in sexual development have been forced to take medications that artificially reduce naturally high testosterone levels. Otherwise, they are barred from competing, and Semenya refused to take these substances and was subsequently unable to defend her 800-meter title at the Tokyo Olympics, which took place a year later than planned in 2021. Joining us now to discuss this is Nthabiseng Sepanya-Mogale, the chairperson of the Commission for Gender Equality. A very good afternoon, advocate. It's lovely to be chatting to you. What are your opening remarks regarding just this victory, if I suppose to describe it in that way, for Caster Semenya?
Just that we are excited as the CGE because we are one of two Chapter 9s who decided we're taking this forward, got attorneys to work with us on a pro bono basis and challenge the 2018 regulations of the IAAF. So this is a victory for us, but it actually goes beyond us because we have set precedent for those young men and women even out there who would like to play sports and must not feel that they're being discriminated or actually to be discriminated by some artificial regulations that get put up against them.
Advocate, what does this mean now for Caster Semenya, and how soon can we expect to see her back competing professionally, that is?
I think that would be decided by him and his coach and family and other people who are close to her. You must remember this has been a very traumatic period for her, and she most probably has not been exercising and training as much as she would have loved to if she was still active. But also emotionally and psychologically, she needs to get back to that place of being a champ without any aspersions cast on her. And just being Caster, the champ that we know.
Then, advocate, where does this place World Athletics? Because they are not agreeing with the fact that, of course, now this case has been won, and also it was mentioned that a file was actually cased against the state of Switzerland and not World Athletics, which is the global governing body of professional athletics across the world.
I think it's actually they're trying to complicate it unnecessarily, I would say. Why I say so is because at the end of the day, they went on to implement what the Switzerland regulations and agreed with them. So they are a party, whether they agree or not. They are a party because it actually is the IAAF that put those regulations in 2018, and they went on to endorse them. So, any of the sides, any of the parties cannot point at the other and say, it is not me, it's the other one. They worked in cahoots, if one could borrow that phrase.
All right, indeed, advocates. And then just going forward, how will World Athletics, you think, obviously approach cases just like that of Caster Semenya? And for those who've also received bans, I mean, I'm thinking of another athlete from the likes of Namibia, the likes of Christine Uboma and Beatrice Masilingi, who've also kind of faced similar challenges. Do you think that maybe in the near future we might have a change in regulation and in policy, or does this case actually trigger a change from World Athletics, that is, going forward?
I think a bit of both. This case has got to trigger without a doubt. But secondly, countries must stand up for their athletes because some of these regulations that are being put in place by certain bodies are actually in violation of international instruments that countries have ratified and assented to. So it's actually an undermining not of a single athlete, but rather the positions that countries have taken, the positions that countries have entered into and endorsed, human rights, human dignity positions that countries have. So this has actually got to be taken over by states, by governments, to actually protect their laws, to protect their vision of how the world should be, as well as their citizens being beneficiaries of that.
How realistic is this going to be, Advocate Nthabiseng? And I'm also just asking this in terms of a timing perspective. How long will it take before these governments, these companies as well, get on board? Just recently, we obviously have the FIFA Women's World Cup coming up. A few players just coming out before the World Cup saying that they've not been treated fairly and they'd love to be treated on par with the men who play football, you know, and they'd also like to see that happening on a global spectrum, across the spectrum as well, in different sporting codes. So yes, there must be a change, but in terms of how long and how fast we can see that change, how long are we talking?
I think it's going to take a long time. I'll tell you why I say so. All the international instruments of the UN that actually speak to gender equality or speak against gender inequality are some of the least ratified by countries across the world. And where they get ratified, they've got the most reservation. Reservation is where you actually say, I agree with this instrument in principle. However, Article 1, 7, 11, I disagree with. For example, CEDAW, Convention on the Equality, something, discrimination against women, something like that, CEDAW, sorry, and I use that word every day, is one of the most reserved instruments worldwide by some of the most progressive countries of the world. So it's going to take a long time because the issue of gender equality is still not being seen as a human right and a human dignity issue out there.
Thank you very much for your time, Advocate Nthabiseng Sepanya-Mogale, the chairperson of the Commission for Gender Equality, joining us to chat about the latest from Semenya.